Question: how did Deng Xiaoping survive 2 purges by Mao? Deng was the sharp mind who rebuilt Mao's armies during China's collapse. He was the organizer who kept the revolution going when chaos struck. Mao once trusted him to manage the nation's affairs entirely. But Deng made a fatal error. He thought he was too indispensable to be removed. He was wrong. Mao disgraced him once, then ruined his family. Mao then reinstated him only to purge him a second time. Curiosity. This is the account of the survivor Mao could not eliminate, and the dictator who relentlessly pursued him. Curiosity. Before facing Mao as a rival or being targeted for erasure, Deng was initially seen as something far more potent than just an adversary. Curiosity. He began as an equal. Born in 1904 in Sichuan, Deng was small, reserved, and exceptionally pragmatic. A man of few words, but immense calculation. In 1920, he journeyed to France for a work-study initiative. While other students debated Marxist theories, Deng worked 12-hour shifts in factories. He observed firsthand how authority functioned in the real world. This led him to a conclusion that would profoundly influence his entire life. Revolution is not about doctrine. Revolution is about efficiency and results. By the mid-1920s, he had joined the Chinese Communist Party while abroad. He was too direct to be charming, too resilient to be purely ideological, and too practical to be widely liked. However, within the party structure, those traits became irrelevant. Accomplishments were what counted, and Deng consistently achieved them. He advanced through the ranks during the early years of the Civil War. He fought alongside the Red Army and weathered political purges, not by hiding, but by outworking everyone around him. By the time of the Long March from 1934 to 1935, Deng was already recognized as someone who accomplished tasks. A man who didn't waste words or his loyalty. Mao took notice of him, not out of fondness or friendship, but out of recognition. Deng Xiaoping wasn't a follower, a dreamer, or merely a believer. He was a problem solver, and for a dictator, a problem solver presents a far greater threat than a vocal critic. Following Japan's defeat in 1945, the Civil War reignited with full force. Deng emerged as one of the most skilled political commissars within the communist forces. He maintained order within armies even when provisions were scarce and morale was plummeting. When the communists finally seized control in 1949, Mao possessed numerous generals, many ideologues, and countless believers. But he had only one individual capable of transforming utter chaos into structured order. Deng Xiaoping. And Mao was already aware of this. Someone like that absolutely requires close monitoring. By the early 1950s, Deng Xiaoping was not yet China's dedicated reformer. He served as Mao's enforcer, a rapidly ascending figure. A man Mao trusted yet never fully comprehended. Deng was small, composed, and quiet. He never displayed strong emotions or dramatic gestures. He communicated in brief, precise statements. He was economical with his words. Historian Ezra Vogel described him as sharp, disciplined, and completely practical. That very practicality is what initially attracted Mao to him, and it would later become the reason for Mao's apprehension. In 1952, Deng assumed the position of General Secretary of the party. This appointment granted him authority over the intricate system that managed China's operations. He gained influence over appointments, promotions, investigations, and ideological directives. He became the person who could elevate careers or bring them to an end. During the anti-campaign of 1957, Deng assisted Mao in suppressing intellectuals who voiced criticism of the administration. He did not hesitate or exhibit internal conflict. At this historical juncture, Deng was a loyal implementer of Mao's directives. Yet, beneath that loyalty, Mao perceived a dangerous element. Deng possessed independent thought. He made choices based on tangible outcomes, not ideological dogma. He valued competence above mere slogans. He did not hold Mao in blind adoration, and Mao observed this keenly. By 1959, when Peng Dehuai faced downfall at Lushan, Deng observed the purge with intense scrutiny. He remained silent. He offered no opposition. He did not question the chairman's intense anger. He absorbed a crucial lesson. Directly challenging Mao's truth was perilous. When the Great Leap Forward resulted in widespread catastrophe, Deng quietly organized efforts to restore order. He revived factory operations. He re-established food distribution networks. He rescued local officials from the surrounding chaos. He accomplished this with remarkable efficiency, perhaps too much so. Historian Roderick McFarquhar noted that Deng excelled at resolving problems Mao himself had created, and Mao resented this deeply, despising anyone who could fix his failures, and anyone who diminished his perceived strength. By 1965, Mao began to establish clear divisions. On one side stood obedient revolutionaries. On the other, capable individuals who thought with excessive clarity. Deng Xiaoping found himself isolated in this latter group. Mao had previously purged individuals for far lesser transgressions. People with less capability, people with less influence, people with fewer allies. And as China approached 1966, the year Mao unleashed the Cultural Revolution, one outcome became undeniable. Deng Xiaoping's downfall was imminent. He simply had no idea how severely Mao would strike, or the repeated nature of those attacks. Curiosity. By the early 1950s, Deng Xiaoping's ascent was rapid. Curiosity. Far too rapid. Curiosity. Mao perceived this acceleration. Curiosity. Everyone else did too. Curiosity. Deng was brilliant, highly efficient, capable of ruthlessness when necessary, and most critically, possessed an independent spirit. According to historian Roderick McFarquhar, Mao appreciated talent, but only talent he could completely control. And Deng was evolving into someone Mao couldn't fully manage. 1956 marked the Eighth Party Congress. Deng spoke openly about the need for party reform. He issued warnings against the dangers of personality cults. He advocated for pragmatism over ideological rigidity. Every word was accurate, and every word was perilous. Because Mao was actively listening. But for the moment, Deng was too valuable to target. He managed the state's administrative functions. He kept the economy from collapsing. He cleaned up the disarray left by others. Mao affectionately called him Xiaoping, signifying little one. However, this was not a term of endearment. It was a potent reminder. Know your designated place. Then came 1957. The anti-rightist campaign commenced. Mao initiated a widespread purge across China. Millions were denounced, and hundreds of thousands were sent to labor camps. Deng was instrumental in its execution. He authorized official documents. He enforced Mao's commands. He capitulated to survive. He always bent. And because he yielded, he continued his upward trajectory. By 1962, Deng Xiaoping was effectively overseeing China's daily operational activities. Factories, supply chains, economic planning, and financial matters all passed through his purview. The quiet organizer, the efficient manager, the individual who believes China requires more than just ideology, is now directly in Mao's sights. The foundations are starting to buckle around him. The imminent crisis that will engulf him is already brewing. And this time, Mao will show no mercy. This marks the path to Deng Xiaoping's initial political downfall. The most brutal period of the Cultural Revolution is commencing. Red Guard factions are active throughout the cities. Allegiance serves as a potent weapon. Maintaining silence is crucial for survival. And Deng Xiaoping, who was once China's preeminent administrator, is now confined as a captive within his own residence. He is held under surveillance, questioned for his non-communist mindset, compelled to admit to transgressions that never occurred. His son, Deng Pufang, was hurled from a window by Red Guards in 1968, resulting in his permanent incapacitation. Historian Ezra Vogel notes that Deng never forgave Mao for that incident. Despite this, he still avoids confronting Mao. He understands the fundamental rule: Mao eliminates adversaries. He preserves useful instruments. Consequently, Deng is once again utilized as an instrument, a subdued one, a persistent one. By 1973, the nation of China is deteriorating rapidly. Its economy is ruined, the party is divided, and government departments are non-functional. Premier Zhou Enlai recognizes that only one individual possesses the capability to rectify the situation. He seeks a private meeting with Mao. Allow Deng to undertake the task, Zhou advocates. Only Deng can revitalize the administrative machinery. Mao expresses reservations. The chairman harbors apprehension towards him, yet fears widespread disorder even more. Therefore, he extends his hand towards Deng. And Deng Xiaoping re-enters public service for the second occasion. He returns to Beijing with a composed expression. No desire for retribution is evident in his words. His focus is solely on his objective. For Deng comprehends something that eluded Mao entirely. Authority is not derived from intimidation. It stems from effectiveness. And effectiveness is Deng's primary asset. By the beginning of 1976, Deng Xiaoping had already weathered more threats to his political existence than any other figure in Mao's China. However, the system targeting him has not concluded its actions. This is because Mao's agenda remains incomplete. Deng is back in Beijing, working with discretion, caution, and meticulousness. He consistently avoids speaking assertively. He refrains from projecting excessive self-assurance. He never provides Mao with a justification to retaliate. Yet Mao is observing constantly. In January 1976, Zhou Enlai passes away. The individual who previously provided protection for Deng, the final high-ranking official capable of mitigating Mao's suspicion, is no longer present, and Mao notices Deng. Standing by Zhou's casket, he appears unbroken, not disgraced, still holding respect, still receiving support from a multitude of people. To Mao, this situation is unacceptable. Within weeks, the state-controlled media begins its campaign anew. Posters are displayed prominently. Newspaper articles are published. The identical accusations Deng has encountered previously resurface. Deng Xiaoping is identified as a capitalist sympathizer. Deng's aspiration is to reinstate the previous societal structure. Trust in Deng cannot be assured. Nevertheless, the true outburst occurs in April 1976 at Tiananmen Square. When ordinary citizens fill the square to honor Zhou Enlai, they arrive with poems, flowers, banners, and discontent directed not at Zhou, but at the individuals who criticized him, at the extremists controlling the nation, and at Mao. The assembled people do not vocalize Deng's name. This is unnecessary. It is common knowledge who garners their support. Mao perceives a growing danger in plain view, and when Mao detects a threat, he eradicates it, regardless of whether the perceived threat is merely an illusion. On April 7, 1976, Mao issues a directive to the Politburo to condemn Deng once more. No judicial proceeding, no hearing, no meaningful vote, merely a judgment delivered by the chairman. Deng Xiaoping must be dismissed from all official capacities. Through a singular proclamation, Deng relinquishes all titles, duties, and connections. He is effectively nullified for the second time. However, Mao commits a crucial error. He opts not to imprison him. He does not order his execution. He merely banishes him, to await an uncertain future, to vanish, to be forgotten. And while Deng remains in enforced quietude, Mao's own physical condition begins to deteriorate. His health declines, his speech becomes slurred, and his authority falters. Deng Xiaoping is politically buried, but Mao is nearing death. The individual purged twice is still alive, while the leader who orchestrated his downfall will not persist much longer. By January 1976, Mao is a dying leader surrounded by adversaries, conspiracies, and lingering regrets. He struggles to articulate words. His written communication is illegible. His inner circle has been reduced to a single faction. The Gang of Four under the leadership of Jiang Qing. Yet one name continues to emerge repeatedly. One name that Mao fears even in his final moments. Deng Xiaoping, the individual he removed from power in 1966. The individual he targeted again in 1975. The person who consistently endures each attempt by Mao to eliminate him. According to historian Roderick McFarquhar, Mao confessed in private, "Deng is an obstacle I cannot surmount." Deng holds no official position or title. He is prohibited from appearing in public forums. He is under constant observation, monitored, and isolated. Yet he continues to survive. For Mao, this presents a significant issue. The Gang of Four advocates for Deng's termination. They desire his permanent removal before Mao's demise. They are aware that Deng is the sole individual capable of thwarting their ambitions, but Mao hesitates, not out of compassion, but due to apprehension. Deng maintains connections across various influential circles, including seasoned generals, senior party officials, and regional administrators. Eliminating him could trigger an internal conflict within the party. Consequently, Mao opts for a fate worse than death. Complete and utter suspension. He leaves Deng in a precarious state, suspended between existence and obliteration, with no supporters permitted to advocate on his behalf. He was immune from any enemy attacks. No verdict, no hearing, no upcoming time. Historian Ezra Vogel states, Deng Xiaoping operated in a political void, yet it was a void the party was unable to fully close. Because beyond Beijing, help for hunger, production sites, transport lines, and the armed forces still recalled the individual who once made China operate. On September 9, 1976, Mao passed away. The autocratic rule lost its guiding star, its central anchor, its dread. And in the quietness that followed, amid the fight for power that immediately erupted within Zongnanhai, Deng Xiaoping started to ascend once more, not through might, not through rhetoric, but through something Mao never grasped: skill. The person Mao removed from power twice is poised to become the figure who reshapes China.